This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Canna Health.
Hey cannabis consumers, have you ever consumed a cannabis product thinking it'll make you feel a certain way, but then it doesn't? Don't you wish you had a clear understanding of your own DNA so that you could make informed decisions about what type of cannabis products interact best with your system? Well, now you can with EndoDNA. EndoDNA is a simple DNA test that maps your entire endocannabinoid system and then matches that summary with a specific cannabinoid ratio and terpene profile that best aligns with your unique genotype. Imagine being armed with personal information when visiting a dispensary. You'll have the knowledge and power and capability to purchase products that best align with your genotype. Visit their website to purchase the EndoDNA Collection Kit and Endo Decoded Report at endodna.com/products and use the promo code CONNECT15 for a 20% discount. Again, that's endodna.com/products and use the promo code CONNECT15 for a 20% discount. The future of cannabinoid therapeutics is here with EndoDNA. Chris Piazza, what's up, man?
How's it going, Kevin?
I'm doing well. Thanks for coming on the show. I'm happy to have you on.
Definitely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. You know, I want to kick the conversation off, Chris, with I gotta take the hat off to you, man. I mean, it seems like since 2008, from what I'm reading of your background, you followed a passion, and that passion was first kind of like seemed like an interest or a hobby that turned into a career that then turned into like a mentorship opportunity, which is now fruition into a business. Am I right?
Pretty much. That's pretty much how it's gone. Yep.
That's awesome, man. So, I mean, tell us a little bit about that journey. Just to kind of kick it off, I know that in 2008, you're a native from Chicago, and you would sell pipes and in blown glass that you would produce in Colorado at different concerts and whatnot. Is that kind of how you got your start?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Going back even farther, I still have my first pipe that I ever got. This kid walked in, high school or whatever, and we were meeting outside, and he had this jacket. He just got back from a fish show, and I saw pipes for my first time. Right, I don't know, 15 or so, and 14, whatever, and grabbed a pipe from him. We went out and we obviously used it, and I remember looking at it and being like, to my friends there, I want to make these things. And they all kind of laughed at me, whatever. And then forgot about it. Later on, like you said, in 2008, I got the opportunity to start working under Rone Glass, RONEGLASS on Instagram. He gave me an apprenticeship, worked with him. And that was when I was selling all my glass over at Red Rocks. And from there, it just kind of took off, slow and steady. And now we're here today.
And now you have one of the coolest headshots in the cannabis industry. That's at least the feedback that I heard on Twitter when I teased this episode out. You got, for those that haven't seen it that are listening, it's this amazing photo. You've got these big aviator glasses on. You've got your hair that's kind of long to your shoulders. You got a goatee. I mean, you look like something out of the 70s Club 54. I don't know, man. It's awesome.
I appreciate it. Now I'm all like corporate and everything. It's like all cut. Like, maybe I should have kept it. What was I thinking,
Yeah, I don't know. You're like changing your identity or something, man, because you look totally different in that photo. But hey, we all get older, and I get it,
Pretty much.
So I know that when I've seen you on other podcasts and whatnot, you really pride yourself in your company, CannaDevices, which you co-founded, if I'm correct.
Yep.
You really pride yourself that your glass is US blown, right? So why is that? Obviously, American-made products are important, but is there a big influx of Chinese-made glass, that are on the shelves of dispensaries? Are most of those American-made? I mean, what is that all about?
Oh no, totally. So I'm a co-founder of CannADevices. Robert Bank is my business partner, and there is probably about 15 years ago there started to be a huge flood of import glass. China and India, they saw an opportunity, just like a lot of us, and they came after it, right? Now, glass, technically, paraphernalia is not supposed to be able to be imported into the country. So it's sort of through some loopholes. Sometimes there aren't actually bowl holes in the pipe before it hits the States, and it'll actually get drilled out. So there's like broken glass inside pipes. Overseas, they do some things like they'll use paint on the inside of pipes rather than actually glass, proper technique. So while you're using a lighter, you're lighting your cannabis, and you're also cooking some paint too. And that's
Whoa.
not really the best thing to do, to be inhaling, right?
No.
So there's that side, and then there's just the other side of like there's an entire group of artists here in the States that have gotten really harmed by so many import products, just like any industry, right? We've had a lot of that change, and there's good and bad to it, but we see this opportunity of being able to offer a higher quality product that's safe to use, and we get to work with all these artists and help them support their families, and that's the main part of our mission.
Yeah. It's interesting when you say like how it's illegal to import paraphernalia. And I've always found that very interesting because, I've always been in states where it's not adult use, right? I'm from New Mexico, which is becoming adult use actually this year, and that'll be kind of a new scene. But, when you walk into a traditional head shop or pipe shop, I would always like understand that you had to ask in a different way. You couldn't say, "Hey, how much is that bong?" Right? You have to say, "How much is that water pipe?" And there was all these nuances and like different terms that you had to use, and it was kind of like this unspoken rule. And when you say like if you're importing internationally, right, you're importing into the States, like you said, they may not have the bowl already developed or created, and that happens in the States. So there's like, why is that? I mean, why is it considered paraphernalia when you could smoke, say, tobacco out of these apparatuses?
So now technically what makes the difference is the carb. So a pipe that doesn't have a carb can be a tobacco use pipe, but the argument is that if there's a carb on the pipe, then that is a paraphernalia. That's the difference between those wood pipes. There's no carb on a wood tobacco pipe. So that's the technical, at least that's what the government has decided to be the technical difference. Back in the day, I'm not sure what's going on these days, but that was what it used to be.
Well, which makes so much sense, right? I mean, no, it's interesting how we've gotten to this point over so many years where there's just so much overregulation. In some cases, not enough regulation, like on the CBD side, where it's just kind of the Wild West.
Oh, free for
It's
all.
insane, yeah. But let's get back to CannaDevices. So, y'all are a supplier for nearly a dozen publicly traded companies at this point in the last 2 years. So talk us through a little bit about like how you got there and what some of your clients look like.
Well, I have no idea how we're here this fast. It's been a wild ride for sure. We started out real small. We started out with some local dispensaries, and we had some unique connections. My business partner was in the industry. He was actually a wholesale rep for one of the larger companies, and so through those relationships, we were able to start offering glass. And there weren't very many. Well, there's very few American suppliers that can actually supply at the volume that these larger companies needed. And so we saw that opportunity and we executed on it. So there's other American distributors out there, and some are a little bit larger, but to be able to hit the volumes that they needed on a consistent basis. And also we started offering services that kind of made us unique. We helped manage inventory with these companies, because when it comes to glass and ancillary products, you're looking at 2% of their business. When you're doing, Curaleaf just hit $1 billion in revenue, right? When you're looking at 2% of that, you're not going to spend a lot of your labor capital on such a small product. So we stepped in and helped with that. We worked directly with the purchasers to help them have, less of a headache. And we've been able to create a system in which makes us unique and saves our customers time and helps them to be able to provide a quality product. So as they started to grow, we grew along with them. When any of these companies make an acquisition, you see a PR about such and such company bought a 10-pack of dispensaries. We have an invoice, we have orders to get them stocked up, and they know they can rely on us and they can trust us to be able to get something to those new locations immediately. And so that's kind of how it's been.
So let's talk about that uniqueness factor that you mentioned. So like, what does your business model look like? Is it where you're outsourcing these artists to then come in and produce this blown creative glass that then supplies companies like Curaleaf, who acquire new dispensaries that need this glass blown pipes on their shelves? Is that right?
You pretty much, you summed it up in a perfect way. Yeah, we have a pretty wide network. We have over 50 artists right now. We're shooting to get to about 150 by Q1, Q2, just because we're demand is just kind of going up a little faster than we had originally anticipated, which is a good thing. But so we have all these artists that we work with around the country, and we just create POs, purchase orders for them, and keep them busy, and once an artist starts working with us, they really can make as much as they're willing to do. Some artists want to have 1 week's worth of POs a month. Some artists want 4, and we just provide them with as much work as they need. And then we add artists as our current artists get booked up. We bring that stuff in, and I'm telling you, it sounds like an easy thing, but it's sort of like herding cats. Artists are artists, right? And we are sort of the go-between between the artist world and like the corporate world, right? So we have to handle, sometimes we get boxes that has, instead of peanuts and bubble wrap, it's wrapping paper because that's what they had, right? And so we'll get these boxes that just look like, sometimes like a box of garbage with glass inside of it. And then we repack it up, make it look nice, get all the, we definitely have a quality control that gets anything that broken out of the way. Then we make it nice and presentable and easy for the dispensaries. They don't want to deal with all that stuff. They don't want to deal with the onesie twosie or the, whatever, they skip purchase orders sometimes, and it'll just be a random purchase order that they choose to send and all this stuff. The corporate side can't handle how messy sometimes that goes,
and that's got to be an interesting buffer, like you said too, because you're like working, you got to put your corporate hat on, right, which is a little more structured, or a lot more structured, probably more efficient, more kind of fast paced, right? And then you've got the artist who really works on their own creativity, their own time, does it their own way, and you have to be open and understanding with that kind of process as well. So you're juggling a lot, it sounds like, in that middle position.
Yeah, it's a fun spot. My purchasing manager has a fun time. She's got probably the hardest job in the entire place.
Well, what's also cool about what you're talking about is the fact that the cannabis industry has so many sub-services or ancillary products that are included within the industry overall, and it's opening up new jobs and new opportunities for people. Like, I'm not super familiar with the glass blowing industry or that particular trade, but it seems to me like it's an older trade, right? That's pretty like either specific to artists or a certain type of product that's continually produced. But cannabis, right, with the explosion of this industry and the growing potential, it seems like this is another outlet for glass blowers to enter.
Oh, 100%. Something that I feel like another kind of part of our mission, something that's been sort of forgotten as the corporatization of cannabis has occurred, right? We have these huge public companies, and there's investment advice and all this stuff going on. Alongside that black market that we used to have before legalization, you had your growers and you had your glass blowers. And then we all went to deadlock, and we ran a business, and then we went home and we made our goods, whether it be cannabis or glass, right? And we were sort of two sides of the same coin. What ended up happening was your growing side was able to scale, right? So there could be a business around it a lot easier. And that's what we saw happen upon legalization. At that same time, there hasn't really been a company that's really stepped up without importing to be able to be that representation of the glass blowers that started out at that same time. You know, my business partner has been a glass blower for 22 years, I believe. He had a few retail stores. I've been on the torch since 2018. I can't believe it's 2022. So now it's 14 years. And, you know, so combined, we have 36 years of experience in this industry. And it's really funny to be, not funny, but it's interesting to be speaking with some people that are, you know, 6 months in the industry, or there's new purchasers that'll get hired that literally has never been in the cannabis space. And it's still, there's so many new people coming on. And then there's some of us that have been around for a decade or a couple decades. And yeah, it's definitely, it's an old trade that's been around just right alongside the cannabis side.
Well, and that's beautiful. I mean, the fact that y'all are one of the first, if not the first, right? I mean, like you said, there's new entrants coming in that are interested, but y'all have had boots on the ground and you know, on the torch since the beginning. So
I definitely want to give credit that there have been distributors that are been around for longer than us, and you know, and they've had their own hurdles along the way. And so but what we're doing is we're really trying to be that, we're trying to evolve it a little bit to be that, you know, sometimes it's a bad thing to say, it's sort of taboo, but a little more corporatized, at least customer facing, right? Supplying these evolved dispensary groups in a way that makes sense to them, right? You know, rather than having a van driving up and knocking on the door at a head shop and trying to sell glass. That's how we all used to do it, right? And that's how the old distributors would do it. And so we're trying to just change that model.
And so how many freelance glass blowers does CannaDevices employ?
So we have over 50 currently right now working for us full time. We have about 25 that are currently going through our trial process. So we have sort of like an onboarding thing where they get tested, or not tested, but they send in samples on certain products. They have to be approved because we need to maintain a quality level. And then as soon as they're onboarded, then we start with another batch of, you know, we get out to another about 25 or so artists, and we bring them on in groups like that. And yeah, so if any glass blowers happen to be listening and want to reach out, we always got work for them.
Yeah. What if you're someone that just has never glass blown before and just wants to get started? I mean, like, I know that there's that popular show on Netflix that that was kind of trending for a while. I forget the name of it, but it was
Blown
all
glass.
about blown
Yep.
glass, right? Yeah, the glass blowing competition. That was my kind of first like real, okay. That, I mean, I know that there's communities for everything, right? But like, that was amazing to see those artists go to work on different projects, you know. And so yeah, like if someone just wanted to start, what would they want? What would you recommend?
Honestly, trying to find a local artist that you can apprentice under. That's the way to go. You know, that was how I got brought up. I was lucky enough to have the opportunity of not only getting taught, but my teacher had a large customer base, so it offered me the opportunity to have work and learning from him built into the same thing. Try to find yourself a spot like that, because those that have walked before have the little tricks and secrets, right, to be able to pass them on. You can learn this type of thing on your own. It's going to take 10 times as long,
Right.
so try to find an apprenticeship.
You know, and some people will say like, well, I mean, YouTube, right? I mean, do you really need to, it's obviously a hands-on kind of the deal, right? So I would imagine having someone face to face to kind of show you instead of trying to rely on a video, not the same.
At some point YouTube can help, but you're not going to know whether to be spinning your hand forward or backwards based on watching a YouTube video, because you don't even know that makes a difference. Right. So you don't even know what you're looking at in the beginning. And hey, more power to anybody who wants to give it a shot and try it out. And there are many, many, many self-taught artists. So I'm not saying that it can't be done, but as far as the the path of least resistance, the apprenticeship is the way to go, and pay that artist what they deserve, because you're getting a trade that can support you. As you said, from 2008 to today, I didn't go to college. I didn't go to do anything. I have this business now from what I learned from my teacher. And, I have to say he didn't get what he was worth out of me,
Right.
So,
No, yeah,
yeah.
no, I agree. That makes a lot of sense. And speaking of these glass pipes and these I'll say water pipes, right? I don't know. I want to be
Bongs are
politically.
fine. It's all good.
I'm gonna share my screen, man, because I'm on your website here. And apologies for those that are just listening and not watching this episode. But yeah, man, I mean, at a high level, you can just either tell me which tab I should click on or what kind of products you want to highlight as I scroll here.
Well, so we can just go real quick. The Bank Glass line is sort of our artistic line. So this is some more creative stuff. You get some color in here, a nice little starter pack to get going, little wide range of all the different products that we have. Now you're going to get into some of the color. So those are some fume spoons. Those change color when you smoke them. Now you're getting into some wrap and rakes and some classic styles there. Next line is going to be your Fritz. So those are solid color. They never look different. They never look dirty when you use them, which is nice. Also super thick. Yeah, so this is sort of the artistic line.
Beautiful stuff. Yeah.
Getting
And
into some more.
is this a thing? When I used to go to those head shops, it would be like, is it triple blown? So is that a thing? Triple blown glass? It is, right? And is that a better quality? Less
sorry,
likely to break? No, not a thing.
No, that was so the promo pipes was one I was going to say to hit on next, but
Okay.
no, the double triple blown. What that is was it's an old wives' tale from a California head shop owner that was just trying to sell some things. And what it actually is the tubing that you start with. You can start with thin wall, medium wall, heavy wall, or extra heavy wall. So your extra heavy wall starts out with the thicker material. You get your thicker pipe.
Gotcha.
So
I'm a fan of the thicker pipes. I like the thick ones.
there you go. So this is the promo pipeline. This is really what has helped us stand apart with the larger MSOs and the public companies. We can actually do branding on the pipe. So these are I actually have one with me too, right in front of me. I was showing to somebody else. So that's actually done with a ceramic decal. So it's actually a ceramic ink that bakes into the glass, and you can't scratch it off or nothing. And it's not a sticker. So when you smoke on it, it's not going to smolder on you. There are some companies that are putting out stickers on pipes to custom label, and just kind of like the paint, when you use a lighter around adhesive, it's really, I don't like to huff glue personally. So that's kind of,
There's some people that do though. So
hey, I'm not judging, to each their own.
Right.
But hey, the medical patients aren't trying to do that, right?
No, not at all. Of course not. So we're on promo pipes. What's one more you want to show us? Which other one is
we can go to CannaDevices. That has some fun stuff. So this is where some of the rigs are. What we do is we offer, if you scroll down a little farther, you'll see some rigs and some bongs, some colored stuff. This is sort of a line for some of the dispensaries. They're not looking to be a head shop. They're looking to have just a handful of select pieces. And so this was this line. This is so that, the head shop down the corner, that's where you're going to find your super creative, really expensive, different things. But this is where you're going to find your bong, your 8-inch clear bong, right?
And this is all B2B, not B2C. So I couldn't go on. I mean, I'm in the need of a bong right now, so I couldn't go on and buy this.
We can talk about that separate.
Oh, okay. All right. Perfect.
I'll get you out one. No problem.
Awesome, man. Thank you. Yeah, no, this is beautiful stuff, I'll tell you. And it's amazing how I said again, how you're curating these artists from all over, and they're full-time employees. It's not like they're contractors, right? I mean,
they're technically contractors just based on legal reasons, just how because they're out of state and all that. So they're technically, contractors, but they are full-time. We're actually working on an insurance program. One of the big insurance companies is actually going to allow us to offer insurance to our 1099s. So we're actually able to give them some benefits too. So
wow. That's
Yeah,
awesome. So yeah, when we close out this episode today, we'll definitely have to give not only your website information, but also where interested glass blowers can go to sign
100%.
up. Yeah, that'd
Definitely.
be great. Well, I know another thing that we kind of touched on before we started recording, and you clarified was, the fact that there's regulated revenue opportunities within the cannabis industry, right? Like, meaning you are limited as to how much flower you could buy or how many cannabis THC products you could purchase, but not the case when it comes to ancillary products.
Correct. Correct. And that's something a lot of these larger, more sophisticated companies are starting to strategize around, right? So for the longest time, there was, especially in Illinois, before we had all these licenses go out, it was a free for all. Everybody was making crazy money off the plant, and there was more demand than there was supply. Now, in the last 2 years, licenses have exploded in Illinois and across the country. And so, as that started to happen, well, now rather than every 5 miles or 10 miles there's a dispensary, it's every block and a half, right? And so when that started happening, all of a sudden supply increased so much. You have your competition around the flower. Well, now you have to figure out other ways, right? And so your margins started to get thin, even though you had a cap on how much you could sell of the flower itself. So what else is the solution? It's looking at these other products that are tangent to the plant. And so that's why we're a lot of these more sophisticated, evolved MSOs are starting to look at that and strategize around those, creating deals, right? Even if you give a deal on a pipe, but you can increase your revenue over that mark. And now you're increasing your revenue per customer, how many customers a month or a day or whatever, and honestly, it's a numbers game with a lot of these public companies just trying to make their balance sheet look better and their P&L look better, right? Top line revenue makes a difference. And so that stuff, I know you were talking to Jason before, like that's a lot of stuff that he would be talking about. And that's what a lot of these companies have started to look at as opportunity to be able to stand apart. Because now you're not only competing on the retail sales side, but you're also trying to compete on the stock market side and who's going to be the better ticker to pick, right? And so, yeah, this has been a little bit of an evolution that we're starting to see.
It's such a great position for CannaDevices to be in, really. I mean, let's be honest, right? So where do you kind of see 2020 headed? What are y'all focused on in 2022? Excuse me, 2020, 22. I need to get that year out of my head. 2022, excuse me. What is y'all's focus? I mean, is it going after more publicly traded MSOs? I mean, is that your niche? Are you kind of focused on smaller to medium-sized businesses as well? Like, what does the future hold?
No, it's a great question. 2022, we're really looking at widening our offerings. So we've branched out into doing grinders and things like that, vape carts and vape pens. Sort of, we're already in the door at this point, and everybody likes working with us. So why not help them get everything that they need, right? We want to sort of be a catered one-stop shop, not like some of these other larger distributors that have, 20,000 items in their catalog. We don't need to offer 100 different vape pens. We'll offer a good, better, best and make it really easy, right? So we're looking at a product offerings. A lot of other vendors are starting to partner with us because of the amount of those MSOs that we were in. So we want to really spend a lot of 2022 focused on our current customers and making sure that we're taking care of them the best that we can, and also trying to expand our footprint with West Coast. We're very strong East Coast, Midwest. We want to get more West Coast, and also some of the smaller operators. In all honesty, we the larger public companies, we don't really have, it sounds kind of weird, but we don't really have to do as much with them because now they're starting to see that their competitors are using us. So they're starting to just kind of come to us. So we want to kind of go and help some of those smaller mom and pops and help them to start offering quality product too.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to ask you, I'm sure that you may not be able to say too much on this, but I want you to kind of first question, then pull out your crystal ball.
Okay.
So the first is like, I would imagine that some of the largest MSOs that you work with at some point may have talked to you about some type of acquisition deal because, they would want exclusivity from you, right? And not you serving their competitors. Has that happened at all, or has there been any interest in acquisition at this point?
It hasn't happened yet. There's been, but we've had conversations with, so how that stuff is done sometimes you don't hear from the actual company. So we've had people reach out to us on behalf of someone that we don't know. So I have no idea who it has been interested, but there's been a couple of little talks. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then so crystal ball, like, I guess let's fast forward let's just say 3 to 5 years from now, right? Like, do you see yourselves in that time frame, either being acquired or going public and, putting your stake in the ground as one of the top suppliers of these various ancillary glass blown products? What do you think?
We are, so far we've been bootstrapping this. It's been everything that my partner and I have had, and we have incredibly awesome wives that have allowed us to take all the risks that we have.
Hey, that's
Um,
awesome. Yeah. That's
yeah,
awesome.
shout out to the wives, right?
Shout out to the wives. Yep.
I sort of oscillate between going public. The thing about it is, if we want to raise a bunch of money, that's why you go public, right? I would love to just grow this thing as private and make sure that we're continuously taking care of our artists. If we were to go public, I just wouldn't be super interested in worrying about monthly and quarterlies and everything else. I'd love to throw some business to Jason that way, but I don't know if I would see us going that route. What I'd like to do is really just keep it in house, and as of right now, nobody has my purchasing manager, my warehouse manager, nobody has an education. I would love for them to be sitting on ridiculous salaries that we get to just keep in house. That's my dream. And I just, throw bonuses out to the artists because everybody's doing so well. I want to keep everything in for us. So that's kind of where I see it.
I like that, man. That's a good answer. Take care of your people. Focus
That's
on
what
the
it's
mission
about.
at hand, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. Well, Chris, I want to give you the floor before we wrap up, man. Anything else that's top of mind that you want to leave the audience with?
Yeah, I think we really hit on a lot of this. It's I guess I was asked a little bit ago. So I work with some other entrepreneurs with some different things, and you mentioned that I started in 2008. So I had to use a nickname when I was a glass blower because my dad didn't want my last name to be used because it was such a taboo industry, right? And so we went from there to fast forward about 8, 9 years. I was thinking about getting out of glass, and my dad saying, "This is your trade. Like, just stick with it. You've been doing this so long." And overnight successes are not built overnight. It takes a very, very long time. So anybody that's got something that they have going on, a passion that they have, don't give up. I mean, I'm 14 years in. It's finally starting to really take off in a meaningful way. And I could have missed the boat if I would have, shifted gears to crypto or something like that a couple years back, right? So just hold the course. That's just what I want to throw out there.
Those are words of wisdom, my man. I have a similar mindset. I always tell people, especially my wife, like you said, think this great and good and even great things don't happen overnight. And there's this minimum of I say a 10-year window. It takes at least 10 years for something to really take off and have lasting impact, meaningful impact. So like you said, Chris, stay on the grind, keep working, people. We're going to get there. It's going to happen. This is not a matter of if, it's a matter of when at this point. So thank you so much for your time, man. I really appreciate it. Where can people find y'all's website and social media? And especially the artists, if they want to join your community, where can they go to find information?
Definitely. CannaDevices.com, CannaDevices.com. There's a contact form on there for any artists that want to reach out. shoot a message on there. Or if anybody's interested in our products, that's another great way. CannaDevices.com, same spelling CannaDevices on Instagram, is same on LinkedIn, same on Facebook. Everything's all the same. CannaDevices everywhere.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much, Chris Piazza, co-founder of CannaDevices. It was a pleasure, my man.
Sweet. Thank you so much for your time, Kevin. Really appreciate the opportunity.
Of course, yes. And thank you all for listening. Until next time. Bye.